He got me here. He directed me.
Where am I going and how do I get there? What is this crazy place? You're about to count down, huh?
Yeah, we're getting close here. Just doing some.
Well, I live in Lake Forest Park,
Okay.
and so this was reverse commute. There was no. I came from basically Bothell this way, and then I'll go back.
Yeah, that's nice. Lake Forest Park. It's a nice area.
It's nice, yeah.
I lived in Edmonds for 16 years.
Oh, okay.
And that was nice. It was just a nice little cul-de-sac, nice little place. So it's cool.
Well, at some point we can talk more about this, but Weyerhaeuser, that little company, they moved from Federal Way to Pioneer Square, about 800 people.
Okay.
And we helped them because I was in Pioneer Square at the time, like give them tours and get them comfortable with being there. So we can talk more about that.
We're going to have a good conversation. All right.
What are we looking at, by the way? Each other.
Good morning and welcome to the Entrepreneurial Journey. I have with me a special guest, Liz Stenning, and she is with the Everett Downtown Business Association. No, I said that wrong. Downtown Everett Association, excuse me. And this is an exciting show because we're talking about the importance of business associations and what they mean. And I'm a big fan, a big proponent of associations. I've talked about them all of the time. And so as we're on this entrepreneurial journey, as we're building business, as we're trying to create that $1 million idea, because everybody, really drives and strives to hit that $1 million mark. One of the things I just think is so important is associations. Not only being a part of associations, but the people that you connect with. And so this morning I have a great privilege of hanging out with Liz. And she's the director here, and so we're going to talk a little about that. And can you give us a little overview of what the Everett Association does?
Yes, I know it's a lot of words that are easy to scramble around.
Right out the gate.
You're all good. So we're the Downtown Everett Association.
Downtown Everett Association.
Also think of us as DEA, the other DEA.
Okay.
So the Downtown Everett Association, we've been around since the mid-'90s.
Okay.
And we are a nonprofit, and if anyone out there knows the difference between nonprofits, we're what they call a 501c6. So that's what more like chambers and business associations would be. So we support the downtown Everett. It's about 40 blocks that we call the downtown. And every day we have a crew that's out there cleaning. We actually clean the downtown, remove garbage, graffiti, biohazards, you name it. And we also manage a parking garage.
Wow.
The city owns a parking garage, and we manage the daily operations. And then we're also leading the revitalization of downtown Everett through a variety of projects. Right now we have 12 people on our staff. Some of them are in the office, administration, and some of them are out in the field every day. And we also have a board of directors. And then we have 5 committees, and those are all composed of volunteers. So we're a large group in our.
You are a large group. I didn't think it was that big. That's a pretty amazing thing. So my experience with the DEA, Downtown Everett Association, was pretty cool because I was thinking about moving my headquarters to Everett, Washington. And so in doing that, I was looking at a building and I was thinking about making an offer, and then I made an offer and I was like, I got to get to know some people. And so I found you guys, and I just walked in the door.
I remember that.
Yeah, and I was like, hey, how you doing? I'm buying this building. And you guys were like, hey, I was so glad someone's buying that thing. It's been an eyesore for so long. And but it was pretty cool because then when we bought the building, we reached out to somebody on your team, and because we needed to get some permits and we needed to understand what it was going to take to do some work on our end. And it was awesome because you guys provided a direct link for us to be able to connect with somebody at the city and get the information that we needed and kind of get the ball rolling. on that level. So just as a business owner, it was really helpful to be able to walk in, say hello, learn a little bit about what you do. And, these downtown areas, they're tough to manage. And so having the street crews and the cleaning crews and all what you do is pretty amazing. How can business owners really benefit from the Downtown Everett Association or similar associations?
Sure, yeah. Well, I was telling you earlier that some people think of downtown associations or they'll think of chambers. So maybe an easy way to look at it is if you think of a town, there may be a chamber that encompasses the whole town.
Yep.
And then many towns have an organization that's focused on a district, like a downtown.
Sure.
So even Seattle, there's probably 13 or 14 different associations like us focused on the different districts around the city, like Capitol Hill, for instance, Pioneer Square. And Snohomish, they have a downtown association. They also have a chamber. So I think wherever it makes sense for you as a business owner to plug in. There's also in Snohomish County, there's a regional chamber. It's called the Economic Alliance of Snohomish County. You are a part of that. Excellent. Yeah. And then there's also Rotary. There's lots of different ways. So I think that for us in Downtown Everett, we really want to be a liaison for those businesses, like to have those experiences you had. Like, okay, who's the person in the city I could call about permits? How do I figure out how to handle the health code? We may not know all the answers, but we often know a good person to connect you with. Yeah. And we're also doing every 2 months, we're doing a workshop for businesses, an entrepreneurial workshop. So this last week, we did one on increasing your sales.
Really?
Yeah, and it's open to anyone. We're really targeting the businesses into downtown, but anyone could really come. And we did one on cash flow navigation, social media. So trying to provide more opportunities for businesses to learn, but also to connect with each other. We've been doing ribbon cuttings. We started getting into the ribbon cutting.
The ribbon cuttings. Excited.
Excellent. And generally, we're there to help, especially if a business has like a mess that needs to be cleaned up in front of their building. We'll deploy our crew out there. So we're really, we don't do everything. The city of Everett does a lot.
Sure.
But we're essentially a layered on service to make the downtown really revitalize and shine.
So you're like a kind of an arm of the city and the development program.
And I would say we are definitely separate from the city, but I would say we're partners with the city, and we're trying to get to know all the different departments as well. Okay. So maybe it's the public works department that can help a business out with something or whatnot. So it's a fascinating world, and there's we go to conferences around the country with other downtown associations, and we get to learn. The other interesting thing about us is we're part of the Main Street Network.
Okay.
So Main Street is a national program, and the state of Washington has a program. Main Street it's basically a way for historic downtowns to revitalize through a variety of different programs that Main Street offers and networking. So if you think of some towns, I'll just throw out some names. Mount Vernon is a Main Street.
I know it.
Mount Vernon, Port Townsend.
I know it, yeah.
Bellingham. Yep. So a lot of those towns you think of that have a little historic downtown are probably part of the Main Street organization. And we're now part of that group since 2021. So we receive a lot more benefits that we can then, deploy or give to our businesses. Yeah.
It's pretty cool. So these workshops, this sounds really cool. So let me just make sure I heard this right. You've got the workshops are free.
Yes.
And how often are they held?
So we're trying to do them every 2 or 3 months.
Okay.
Sometimes,
so
as
about once a quarter.
Once a quarter, yeah. Sometimes, as you know, it's tricky to find speakers, and so we want to find something that hits a topic that a lot of different businesses that might want to participate in. And we started doing them last fall. And it was something that our committees and board wanted to see and wanted to try out. So a lot of times we're doing things, seeing if something sticks. Try a program, see if it works, and then if it seems like it's getting traction, continue.
And have these gotten traction?
I would say so. We're seeing maybe 15 people or so come. Sometimes for businesses, as you know, it's you really want to go to that thing. but then do you have the time? And so we also have to hit the sweet spot of the time of the day for businesses.
I understand that thing.
Yeah.
I think early on in business career, it's like you don't want to make the time because you're worried about missing a phone call or an email.
Yeah.
But I think investing in yourself, continuing to level up and continuing to build education is super important for any business owner and or any executive leader. You can never get enough information. I liken it to this. Everybody is familiar with football, whether we watch it or not. But what are they doing right now? They're practicing, right? And they're practicing, 5 days a week, and they're watching film, and they're studying, and they're getting prepared. And they're doing that for one game on Sunday. They practice all week, and in the off season, they're doing training, but they're doing that for one game. And so every time we meet with a client, every time we execute our service, every time we do that, that's our game. And a lot of times, business owners or executives don't spend the time they need to continue leveling up. So they're not practicing, they're not getting better. And so what I love that I heard from you was you've done social media, you've done cash flow analysis, which cash flow is a killer for most businesses, not knowing how to read the P&L or the balance sheet. Social media is also a monster. I mean, how do we navigate that? Should we be on Facebook? Should I get a TikTok page? I mean, all of that sort of thing. And these are free, and they get to build relationships with others who are in their similar market.
Well, we're always looking for ideas, so you can tell me if you have some ideas for us, and we'll try to.
I mean, I'm an idea-making machine over here, but I just love what you're doing because it's bringing the local network together. And what was the third? What did I miss? You had cash flow, social media.
We had increasing your sales.
Increasing your sales.
And
This is huge.
Yeah, that's very much about. Imagine a retail operation and someone comes in, and how do you greet them? How do you interact with them? But a lot of what we learned was about open-ended questions.
Sure.
And you could apply that to just about anything.
Yeah.
So I don't sell in a store, but I learned a lot from that.
You know what I learned about going into stores, because my wife likes to shop, and I like to shop with her too. It's fun. So sometimes when you go into a store, if someone's not nice or they're rude or they're difficult, like, you have no problem leaving. You know what I mean? But sometimes when someone's really nice and they're friendly and they're trying to help you out, it's like you almost feel bad for not buying something.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like there's a whole psychology to this. It's like, oh man, like I should just buy something so I can get out of here. You know what I mean? But it's because they were nice.
Yep.
And so those kind of sales trainings, I think that's an amazing thing that you guys are doing. So they're free. And if I was a business owner and I wanted to participate in one of these, how would I find out about this?
Well, you email us or look on our website.
Okay.
So if you were to search Downtown Everett Association, our website should pop up pretty quick.
It's not EA.com?
No, it's Downtown Everett. It's a long one. Or they can email me, and maybe there's a way for you to put our information.
We can share that. Actually, we can share your contact information out on the call or in a comment. We have many ways to be able to do that. So what an amazing thing that you're doing in the community. And then another thing that you touched on, which I thought was really cool. So I love flowers. Flowers are one of my favorite things. I love looking at them. They're pretty, and just the way that they enhance an area, and also like the broken window theory of like, hey, if there's a broken window and we don't fix it, we're going to have more broken windows, right? But if we fix the broken window and we fix things up, then we're going to attract, nicer people, and we can apply that to our businesses. We can apply that to everything that we touch and do. So you had mentioned the flower program in the Downtown Everett, and so can you talk a little bit about what that is and how that works?
Yes, and that one's very special to me. It was one of the very first things I worked on when I started.
Really?
I started my job in March 2020.
Okay.
And that was a tough month.
Yeah.
Right? So
that was
tough. A lot was going on, especially
the world was crashing.
Yeah, and then to start working with businesses, and it was crash course. So around that same time, the city of Everett was struggling with their budget and had to take a hard look at their budget, and essentially had to take out programs and projects that just weren't essential.
Sure.
And so one of the programs they cut was their flower program. So for years, the city had just beautiful flowers in the pots and the hanging baskets. And
baskets.
Oh, yeah. And it was, I mean, if you go back to Google Street View, you can see just chock full of flowers. So they were about to auction off their equipment, the flowers, everything. This was about April, 1 month into the job or so. And our board said, if we don't try to buy those plants, we're just going to have 200 and some pots sitting around the downtown empty, become garbage cans.
Yeah.
And so our board president was instrumental in this. We ended up purchasing the plants at auction for pennies on the dollar, and were able to plant all the pots with volunteers. We pulled it off amazingly in May, and then we used volunteers and people to help water, and we made it happen.
Community came together
in a big way, huge. I think
during one of the most toughest times.
Yes.
That I can remember going through.
It was tough. And even to get people to come to an event to plant, we had to stagger out the times. Like, okay, you can come in every 15-minute increments.
Wow.
It's quite a process. So this is our 4th season. Okay. So each year we've gotten a little bit better. We had a great landscaping company we purchased the plants from. Yeah. We've had just enormous support. But all of the plants, the whole program is paid for through donations. And so we fundraise, and then we're able to do what we do. And then this year we did a pilot program to install hanging baskets.
Okay.
And because people love those hanging baskets.
I love taking pictures of them.
Oh, yeah. So we bought a product which is really interesting for anyone out there in the landscaping business. It's called Earth Planter. Okay. And so these planters have a reservoir. So the person who's watering fills up the reservoir, and it's a lot less water and labor than every day watering a basket. Sure. So we're out there watering every other day or so. And so we bought these pots. Now we can keep the pots every year. Okay. And so far they're looking good. So then we can figure out if we can add more. But the flowers are just, I mean, they make a downtown. You can think of all the cute downtowns, and little. I mean, it's flowers. You gotta have them during the summertime. Yeah.
The flowers during season.
So we're really, the flowers are really out there May through beginning of October. Some downtowns, some places are able to do them all year round, all season long. But we just keep some perennials that will stay green all year, so they're not completely empty. But that's I would say another level of effort to have those annuals out all year round. But that's when we focus, really, the summertime.
Have you ever been to Chicago?
I have.
Have you ever?
It was not in the summertime, though.
Not in the summertime, okay. So there's the Magnificent Mile, which is kind of where all of the shops are. Mm-hmm. But they've got, I don't know if it goes for a mile or longer than a mile, but they have some of the most beautiful streetscape.
Oh, yeah.
In like I've ever seen anywhere. Yeah. And it is just, I mean, they've got the little parking strip area, but I mean, I don't know what it cost, millions of dollars to fill these things. But I mean, it is just like they're perfectly maintained. The arrangements are so beautiful. And so I think between Chicago and Montreal.
Oh, I would love to go to Montreal.
Montreal has some very beautiful, but like those plantings, like it's something that you can look forward to, or you take pictures of, or that are just so stunning. So I love that the city of Everett is saying, hey, let's put flowers, let's beautify this area. So what does it cost you guys to put this flower program on?
I think we estimate, let's say about $15,000.
$15,000.
It could be more with more plants. Yeah, more baskets, more plants. The big thing is labor. We pay someone seasonally to water the plants, but we use all volunteers to plant everything. And we have one event, early May typically, and I think we had about 100 people show up on a Saturday, and we have a system. And we've created this system over the years, and to make it the most efficient, so we can get everything done within 4 or 5 hours, let's say. So we'll be inviting you to
listen, we'll participate, and in fact, we'll donate $2,000 to the program.
That's excellent,
and we'll just continue that to help.
Excellent.
Buying flowers and water reservoirs and all
Yes.
of these cool things. I mean, we want to participate. These are amazing things that just everybody looks at and just makes the city so
Yep.
much better and such a powerful thing. So you can count us in for that, and
Thank
we'll
you, Dan.
donate some labor too. You know, we love to do these things, and it's a great thing. So you also mentioned the lighting program.
Yeah. So that's another interesting one. And I should say that in the public realm, so if we just talk about the public realm of a downtown,
Yeah.
you would have some of the, I call it like setting the table. You'd have
Yep.
some basic things, cleaning, making sure it looks nice.
Yep.
And then you'd have some of those add-on projects like the flower project. And then, once you have some, perhaps you are capitalizing on a project that's going to happen anyway. Let's say all your water mains have to get ripped up on a street.
Yeah.
That's an opportunity to then add some more funds in and then redo your whole streetscape.
Right.
So there's an organization like us or a city can look at those opportunities. Sometimes it just costs a lot of money to like really redo a streetscape. But if you're piggybacking on something else, that can also be.
And you want to do it right too.
Yeah.
I don't want to pick on any cities, but like when I compare the city of Shoreline to the city of Chicago, like those are completely different ballparks and worlds with their streetscape, like the way it is. It's great what they did, but they really have a hard time maintaining it.
Yeah. I bet.
Really hard with the weeds and the control and all of that, versus where Chicago has it all along the sides, and they have some center stripping too, but just with the manpower and the architect and the design, I think it's so critical that when those things happen, they're done in such a way that it's really easy to maintain it, and it has a minimal. I mean, everything has an expense, but you do everything to control the expenses, because when you have a city streetscape and you spend millions and millions of dollars installing this thing, because that's what these things end up costing, is, maintaining it, because you don't want it all to go and look bad, right?
Absolutely. I fully agree with you. And my previous life, some lives ago, I was a landscaper, came from the landscaping industry, and I definitely know the value of maintenance.
You can't put a price on it.
Yeah. But back to the lights.
Yes.
So the city of Everett used to have some beautiful holiday lights, I want to say 12, 15 years ago in the downtown. And I think this may have been more standard years ago, but the outlets were actually placed at the base of the trees.
Okay.
And so that problematic, watering the plants, trees grow, dogs do their thing. And then, over time, more and more people have cell phones plugging into them. So I think it was just becoming, the lights were going out. You can imagine trying to maintain those lights. Yeah. And so the city decided to just essentially cut the power, but all the wires were still there. So, these are things that we didn't know at the time, but we started asking questions around 2020, what would it take to bring some holiday lights back? And so our friends at Public Works in Everett said, you know what, that big structure in the middle of the main intersection in downtown Everett has power. And so what we did is we raised money to purchase these enormous snowflakes, 6 foot wide snowflakes, and then we gave them to the city to install them. Wow. And so we've been storing them every year. The city installs them, and then each year we've been working creatively with the city to see how we can add power throughout the downtown to do maybe a block a year. So if you go downtown, you'll see...
You got 40 blocks.
We've got 40 blocks. Yeah, we've got a ways to go. Right now we have, let's say, 4 blocks.
This is like a life project.
So right now we have about 4 blocks of these giant snowflakes. You'll see them become downtown in the wintertime. But each year we fundraised, we bought more, the city installed them. But they were the huge what they call gooseneck lights, where there was power way up high. But we thought, well, what if we could add outlets to the vintage street poles? So if you think about a downtown, start looking around next time you're in a downtown, you'll see oftentimes outlets up high. Yeah. And so we said, well, what would it take to do that? And so we got connected with, I'm just call them out, Valley Electric. Okay. And Valley Electric, they're based out of Everett. They actually donated their time to pull the wires and install the outlets on 1 block. And so then we had this pilot project, and then we hired a contractor to wrap trees. Yeah. And so we could show, okay, if we were to get outlets into these poles, this is what you could do. And that company is going to do another block this winter.
Valley Electric. Awesome shout out to Valley Electric.
Absolutely. And we're hoping that we can just incrementally do this. And I think that's a lot of this work in these downtowns, particularly, and cities. It's if you can do something and incremental, and that's partly been our approach too. And it brings people so much joy. So much joy.
It does.
Tingling.
It gives you the shivers. Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. These two things are amazing. So for the local business owner, they're trying to build their business. Like you said, sometimes they don't have time to come to a workshop or whatever. What is the big thing that any kind of downtown association or chamber of commerce, what's the big thing that it really benefits a business owner? Like, why be involved?
Yeah. Well, I think sometimes you can, as a business owner, I'm not a business owner of a retail establishment or a restaurant, but I think it can be lonely. I think it can be tough, trying to hire people, trying to get people in your door, and just being connected in any way, even if you came to that one planting day, or if you sign up for a newsletter, or if you, came to one of those workshops, and this could be any city, in any place, just feeling that little bit of connection. It doesn't have to be something you do very often. I mean, maybe you don't have the time, and sending in a check to a group also speaks to you, but having some kind of connection really starts to build community. And
that's cool.
There's not really one thing you could do per se, but
loneliness is a big thing. I think people feel that way. I was in a restaurant in Everett, right across from the ice skating complex, the Angel of the Winds, and there's a gal in there who owns a business, and she was just saying, we've gotten to know her over the years, and she's just saying how much she hates it. She hates just people not showing up for work, people not being there, having to work 7 days a week, having to work 12, 14 hours a day, having to deal with, all of the stuff that a business owner has to deal with. And so seeing the flowers, seeing the lights, or coming to an event and participating, knowing you're not alone, I think that is a big thing for any business owner, and probably one of the things that all business owners struggle with, because it's like, you can be in your business and you're having a tough day or a tough time, but if you share that with somebody who's not a business owner, they're kind of like, okay, well, because they're going to get another job or they're going to move on. But for a business owner, sometimes it can be their whole life that's wrapped up in these businesses that have been there for a long time. So I think, that's an amazing thing. How can people help? What can they do to help associations or help the Downtown Association in Everett? What can they do?
Well, we have volunteer opportunities, so we have committees people could get involved with. I mean, really the place to start is by contacting us. And then we can often go out to coffee with someone or talk to them on the phone and see how they'd like to get involved. We're always happy to take donations, and we have variety of ways for businesses to plug into that. Maybe they have a particular need that they're trying to figure out with the city. We've heard that sometimes new businesses that are opening are struggling with navigating like the health department or other permits. So even if they reach out before they've even moved in, we can help that way.
Ease the path, give them some guidance, show them some different things. Yeah, that's cool. Do you have a favorite restaurant in downtown Everett?
Oh gosh, favorite restaurant. It kind of changes, I suppose. I'll throw one out there because probably not a lot of people know about it. Cafe Yu.
Cafe Yu.
Yes.
What kind of food is it?
If it's like a lot of wonderful noodles. I have Korean. But it's just so good. Amazing ingredients, quality ingredients, and it's right next to it's right next to Narrative Coffee. But that leads me into something else. One of the things we've been doing is a facade program or a storefront program, and so we had some funding through the city, and we had some funding of our own to put together grants for businesses to apply to us so they can improve their storefront. And that business is one that will receive funding to put up a new sign So the grants are like $3,000 to $4,000, but that's another one, a pilot program we started to see what the interest was, and if businesses were applying, if they were going to follow through and do it. So right now we've had, I want to say, 7 businesses do different improvements to their storefronts.
Wow, that's
We're hoping
amazing.
to continue every year. But I will say that I think the thing about Downtown Everett is oftentimes we have these little gems of restaurants, and if I would say encourage people to walk around, check things out, because there's little, like, small places that you walk in the door and you can't even believe you're in this cool spot. So.
You know what? That's true. I actually experienced that because I'm a part of a group that meets in Bellevue, and so the host of this group, we always go out to lunch afterwards, and he's always like, "Oh, let's go here, let's go there." But there are these little spaces that you would never even think of eating, and you would never even go. I would never even go into them. And the food is just like incredible, and it's like, whoa! I didn't even know this was like happening.
Yeah.
And so, like, I love that because I think it's true. There is so many little gems of restaurants. So as we bring this in for a landing, wow, this has been an awesome time.
Absolutely.
And I want to touch on just a few things as we close this up. So some of the powerful things that I really heard was, one, when you're involved and you're a part of a community, you're not alone. And so whether you're participating in the Christmas tree or the Christmas lighting, or the flower planting or the flower pots, you're getting connection and you're meeting with people who have similar thoughts, similar likes, and probably similar stresses. We've got a roughly a quarterly workshop that's helping business owners grow their business and take their business to the next level, where they can also meet with other business owners. They can get community there, but they also can take some tips away. You do a lot of little pilot programs, which are cool. So we're always trying things out, trying to make things better. And then the grants. So if you're in the Downtown Everett, or maybe your own, like she mentioned, there's 13 or 14 of these associations in Seattle. Like, look at what grant possibilities are out there. And that's actually a cool thing. I actually applied for a grant this year. So I was looking, Puget Sound Business Journal publishes a list of grants, and it's like, hey, best small business in the U.S., and you fill out 20 pages of questions, and it's kind of fun, and you talk about your business, and the winner gets $25,000. And it's just like, but there's a lot of those little programs where sometimes that cash can really help take your business, to the next level. And then just the awareness and the connectivity and the branding and the marketing that you bring to the table when you're sharing those things. Anything that I missed there?
I will say, for anyone who's even remotely considering opening a business in Downtown Everett, we also help businesses not necessarily find the space they're going to move into, but we'll let them know, like, here's what's available in the downtown.
Okay, that is cool.
And we are trying to do more and more business recruitment, and
that is cool.
Supporting the existing businesses, but also trying to bring in new businesses. So happy to meet with anyone who's even has an inkling of an idea.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you know the guys down at Fast Signs?
We do, yes.
Dan Jolly is a good friend of mine.
Oh, excellent.
Dan Jolly and I grew up together, and he's the owner of that Fast Signs. It seems like they've taken over blocks down there.
Yeah, and they've restored this historic building. It's beautiful.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know they did the restoration, but I love, so there's a lot of great people down there. There's a lot of great things. So listen, if you liked this, give us a like, give us a follow, give us a share us on your social platform, and then reach out to Liz. You can reach out to her through the Downtown Everett Association. Google it, you'll find it. Set up coffee, set up a meeting, walk in like I did and say hello, but help take your business to the next level. I've got a full page of notes, and so I've got some cool things. And listen, get into the flower program. Donate to the flower program. Make your downtown an amazing place. Thank you so much for your time. It was wonderful chatting with you. I really appreciated it.
Thank you, Dave. This was a great experience.
It was very, very cool. It was a lot of fun. Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week, 9:15 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Every week, The Entrepreneurial Journey. I'm Dave Westcott. Thank you so much for being a part of today's show.